Alright, let's talk about Drag Me to Hell, Sam Raimi's return to horror after directing the Spider Man trilogy. This was a movie that he had, I guess, written in the early 90s after Army of Darkness, and finally got around to making the movie and was going to have Edgar Wright direct it, but he turned it down to make Hot Fuzz. Thankfully so, because that's my favorite movie from him is Hot Fuzz. But yes, Drag Me to Hell. This is a movie I've seen about 3 times now, and I've never loved this movie, but it's okay. Um, it's definitely Sam Raimi in moments. It's got his kind of humor in it, and this was written also by Ivan Raimi. So is that his brother, I assume? And this movie tells the story about a woman who works at a bank named Christine, who gets this gypsy lady kicked out of her house. And then that gypsy lady curses her, and she has 3 days to end the curse, or she's going to be dragged to hell. I watched the unrated director's cut, which adds a whole 0 minutes to the runtime. They're both an hour and 39 minutes long, so it adds almost nothing. Just a few seconds here and there of blood. So yeah, this was a PG-13 movie, which is odd for Sam Raimi, the guy who did the Evil Dead trilogy, to go make a PG-13 horror movie. And that's one of my gripes with this movie is that it's too PG-13. Even when you're watching the rated R version, it's just too PG-13 to work for me. But what does work for me in this movie is the humor. When this movie tries to be funny, it's funny. It's repetitive. It's the same gag again and again. There's just a lot of bodily fluids and disgusting shit falling into this woman's mouth and around her face again and again. But it's funny. It's really gross. All that stuff works. And I like this main actress, and I like her, the actor who plays her boyfriend, Justin Long, from Jeepers Creepers. This was like a second horror movie, I think. And he is like the skeptic character, which you always need in this kind of movie. And I like how he plays the skeptic. He's funny. He's not like an asshole about it. And I just like them together. There's not a whole lot of scenes with them together, unfortunately, but when they are together, I like them. They're good actors. And this movie has some good cinematography. It's shot well. It has the same cinematographer as the Scream movies, which I'm not a big fan of how those movies look, but this movie looks good, it's shot well, and so I'll give it that. But outside of that, I was just okay with this movie. It's fine. The moments when it tries to be scary, because it's trying to be both, it's like a horror comedy. It almost felt like Sam Raimi was trying to make a comedy mostly, and then the studio said, well, you gotta insert jump scares and try to make it scary also. And when it tried to be scary, that's when I was not interested. There was just a bunch of jump scares, CGI that looked awful. I mean, some of it was okay, like the hell stuff, in the opening looked okay, but there's shit later on that was just awful and not necessary. You could have had K and B, who does the effects for this movie, the guys behind Walking Dead and countless slashers in the 80s and 90s. They have fantastic gore effects. You could have had them make some cool effects in this movie, but they don't. They're just mainly using CGI in this film, and I'm not big on CGI, and I'm not big on the story. It just feels generic. It's the same story you've seen a bunch where a person or a group of people get cursed. They're trying to end it. They got, there's a ticking clock. They got a certain time period to get this task done, like the ring, 7 days. In this one, it's 3 days, and they gotta go to the psychic or the expert and start reading some books, and we gotta sacrifice a goat. And it's just like, it's been here, done that. I don't like this kind of movie. It's not my cup of tea. If it just would have been way more funny, goofy, more like Army of Darkness type shit, it probably would have worked a lot more for me. Because I like these characters and, I'm rooting for them. I don't hate them. They're, well acted but it's just the scares when it's trying to be scary and all the CGI and the story that I just don't care for really. But yeah, there's lots of jump scares like the stinger noises, and I always hate that shit. Christopher Young does the score for this movie, and the score overall was whatever. Like, wasn't great, wasn't terrible, but yeah, like he usually does fantastic scores. He did Freddy's Revenge, he did Sinister, uh, he's done all kinds of good scores, but this one was just ho hum, like, whatever. And but yeah, in the opening, it just sets the wrong tone. I'm also not huge on the ending. Like, was anyone really surprised? It's just predictable. Like, if you've seen enough horror movies, you know that it's gonna end not in the way that you want it to. It's not gonna end happy for these people. So it's just like, okay, like I saw that coming, and it's upsetting because you don't want what happens to happen to this person because you like them and they didn't really do anything wrong. So, final thoughts, this movie's just not for me. It's okay. The story was just a bit too generic for me, and it wasn't goofy enough for me to be fully engaged. And, I like the characters, but I need more than that. It tries to be scary in moments and just fails. If the scare sequences were actually scary or unique and interesting, instead of just using like CGI shadows and jump scares, then maybe I would like it more. Have some more K and B effects in here and have some more humor in it that isn't just the same gag again and again where puke and disgusting shit's hitting this girl's face again and again. Change it up a bit, and then maybe I will like this movie even more. So when it comes to Drag Me to Hell, I'll just give this one 3 out of 5 stars. So it opens up in 1969. We got this Latino boy who stole something, and he's been cursed and he's going to go to hell, and he does. And this woman swears that she'll meet this demon again one day and she'll defeat him. Does she? No. Flash forward many years later, she does meet this demon again and she dies. Heart attack. So I guess that was subversion of expectations. But yeah, so we get this setup here where she gets the boyfriend a coin, he puts it in an envelope, sticks it in the glove compartment, and then at the end of the movie, you find out that she got the coin and put that in the chick's mouth instead of the button. So you saw that coming, right? So yeah, she wants a promotion at work, so that's why she ends up denying this chick an extension on her loan, and that's what gets her cursed. And I'm not sure why this other guy is in the running for the promotion when she is training him. Like, he's still in training and he's in line for promotion? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And what also doesn't make any sense is why they hired Octavia Spencer to play a coworker with no dialogue. You got a Oscar-winning actress in this movie that says nothing. Then we get one of the better sequences in the movie. Not the best scene, we'll get to that later. But probably like the second best scene is the whole parking garage scene. It's just over the top, and she just keeps hitting her in the face with a stapler, and then she uh, loses her teeth because she has like false teeth, and then she starts like biting down just her gums, her slimy, disgusting gums all over her face and shit. It's disgusting. And that's not the first slimy liquid to hit her face. There's plenty of that later on. And but so she gets her button and she puts a curse on it. And then there you go. She's fucked. And she's got 3 days to figure out how to end the curse. And so she goes to a psychic who charges her like $60. And then when she comes to him again, he's like, it's going to cost you $10,000. Like, fuck this guy. Like, like at that point when he's charging her $10,000, he knows that this shit's real and that her soul is going to hell in less than 3 days, and he's charging her $10,000. How about you be a good person and just fucking help her, you piece of shit? I wanted to see him die, like during that seance. Like, that's when we should have seen like some super powerful demons just ripping those people apart. But it's PG-13, you can't do that. But yeah, so then she goes to the funeral of the gypsy, found out she died at some point. So I guess the extension wouldn't have mattered. So if she had given her what she wanted, she would have died a couple days later anyway. So it didn't matter. So she cursed her for no fucking reason. So fuck this lady. But she's dead. She's at the funeral, and then like her body falls on top of her, and all this like embalming fluid comes out of her mouth, just a lot all over her face. But then in the next shot, despite the fact that she just had all this shit hit her face and her hair. In the next shot, she's completely bone dry. It's like Jaws of Revenge all over again. And but yeah, so then she goes to meet her boyfriend's parents and her mom. Her boyfriend's mom is just this snobby bitch, very like intrusive and just a nosy cunt, and you just want her to die too. But she gets to live. And then we get the best scene in the movie where she's at work and she has a nosebleed, and this is when the unrated shit kicks in. Her nose is bleeding, and then she like covers it, and then it all just starts coming out her mouth, and then she covers her mouth, and it all starts shooting out like a geyser, just a geyser of blood coming out of her nose all over her boss. Awesome. And really, when someone tells you that you need to sacrifice an animal, like any animal, that person never specified. They just said sacrifice an animal, and it was a strong maybe, not a definite, like, yes, this will work. When someone tells you that, you don't automatically go for your cute little kitten. That's just ridiculous. Like, she had another day to go to the pet store and buy like a fucking gerbil, a hamster. She could have tried a bunny, tried all this other shit that she wasn't already like emotionally attached to. She went straight for her kitten, which knocks down her character a bit for me, like in the likability department. Like, I don't like you that much anymore because you're not smart. You should have went to the pet store. You have a whole fucking day left, and you just went for your cat first. Then we get this scene that's like straight out of a Looney Tunes cartoon. So she's in the shed, and her own shed for some reason has an anvil above that's just hanging in the air by rope. Like there's like a rope system, and if you like cut the rope, the anvil falls on Bugs Bunny's head. Like, what the fuck is this? Now it hits the gypsy woman's head, and her eyeballs like come shooting out of her skull, very like Evil Dead. Except now it's CGI and it's god awful looking. Like, that's the worst CGI effect in the movie. It was so cringy. Like, you didn't need to do that. That could have been practical. You could have built like a fake dummy head and had something smash it. Not go the CGI route. That's unnecessary. So then we get the whole seance scene. You got the evil goat that turns into a puppet in one moment. It's like a puppet that K and B built. And then the one guy turns into a deadite, basically. Like, the way he's floating around very much reminded me of like Evil Dead, when Bruce Campbell or Ash's friend turned into a deadite, how they float in the air and shit, and they're just, ooh, it's so silly. You can't take it seriously, but this is when the movie could have gotten more graphic, if you ask me. Kill that asshole, charging her $10,000, you know. But yeah, and then the one chick just has a heart attack, so she never really got her moment that she promised that she would have 30 years ago. But yeah, and then we get the whole cemetery scene. She's like, I'm gonna stuff that fucking button down her throat because apparently even dead people have souls still. So yeah, and she goes there, does that, and the grave fills up pretty quickly with rain. But she gets out of there, but not before getting this gypsy lady's mouth on her again and another handful of hair ripped off of her head. This poor woman. And then she goes to the train station. She's getting that promotion. Her boyfriend's about to propose to her. She just bought a new coat to look fashionable on her little vacation, and then she gets dragged to hell because she realizes at the last second that she put the coin down the throat of the gypsy and not the button. She's fucked. I don't know, like, in that moment, couldn't she have, like, instead of running backwards the way she did, why couldn't she just grab the button and, like, hand it to someone real quick? Like, I don't get the rules. Like, they say it has to belong to someone, but it's not like they have to buy it from you, because she just stuck it down the gypsy's throat without making a transaction, no money exchanged. So if no money needs to be involved, why don't you just hand it to someone and be like, here you go. You have a few seconds there. Or, like, how come the boyfriend wasn't going to get dragged to hell? It's the boyfriend's now. The boyfriend was holding on to it. So now, isn't it technically his? Like, how does it work? I'm curious. Because they say in the movie, like, it has to be someone else. Like, they have to own it. Like, well, define own it. Buy it or just have it in your hand. I don't get it. Like, the boyfriend has it in his hand, so shouldn't he be fucked? Why is she fucked? I don't get it. Whatever. But yeah, she's dragged to hell, and that's the end of the movie. Very downer ending. This chick did not deserve to be sent to hell for eternity because she did her job. And this chick was going to die 2 days later, or a day later anyways, of old age. So she didn't really need that fucking extension, so fuck her. Like, what's the message of this movie? Don't try to get a promotion at work, otherwise you're going to be condemned and sent to hell? Is that the message? Okay, loud and clear, Sam Raimi. So, there you go. My discussion of Drag Me to Hell. What are your thoughts on this movie? Do you like it more than me? I'm sure you do. Let me know why in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's all an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.